Today's sponsor is Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/comedyfilmnerds for a free audiobook download. And it could be unabridged. It could be like a Game of Thrones book. It's still free.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Length doesn't matter.
It really doesn't?
Yeah, free. If it's a book, it's a book.
All right. Free book, I'll take it.
I shot first, kicking hands across the land. Wait for the show with Chris and Graham. Comedy Film Nerds. Comedy Film Nerds Podcast. Indie films, popcorn flicks. If you're looking for the knowledge, we've got your fix on the Comedy Film Nerds. Comedy Film Nerds Podcast.
Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. Welcome to the Comedy Film Nerds Podcast, episode 220.
220. Oh, my God.
We're going to do a lot today.
We are?
Yeah, no.
Doesn't feel like it.
No? It's already? You're already going to slow things down at the beginning?
It feels great. Yeah. Let's put the brakes on the show when it starts.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah. I don't know. This one might be a C.
Might be 38 minutes today. Yeah.
I feel like we're going to phone this one in.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
We're going to talk about How to Train Your Dragon 2, X-Men Days of Future Past again, The Rover. We have a very special guest, first time on the program.
First time?
And it has a lot to say about comic book movies.
Well, let's get into that. Let's introduce our guest.
I think we should.
Go for it.
All right, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to have our guest in the studio. We actually met doing a panel at our friends over at Comics on Comics.
Oh, nice.
We did that down, I think, the west side. It was one of those comic book stores that has like a giant like bat cave in the back where you actually have events. And
that was the most awesome place.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Don't they all have that?
They should.
Shouldn't they all have a bat cave?
Should, absolutely.
It reminded me of my bedroom.
Yes. And also, we were going to be talking about his TV show and his movies and his book. Ladies and gentlemen, comic book writer, TV writer, and film writer, Marc Guggenheim.
Hey, thanks for having me. I feel like I'm a 2 out of 3 guest.
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll go like comedy film nerds. I know I don't check off one of those boxes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which one.
Yeah.
There's one box I'm not checking off.
We get partial credit.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
66%.
Hey, it's all good. That's my whole life.
Yeah.
66%. Gentlemen C.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into a little bit what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about what he's working on now, or you want to get into the movies, Chris? How do you want to do this?
I think we should let's for those of you that don't know who Marc is and what he's involved with, let's have him talk about what he's working on now.
Yes,
especially show running Arrow on the CW.
Yes, yeah. I'm co-showrunner with Andrew Kreisberg of Arrow, and we're actually going into season 3. Mm-hmm. Right now on my computer, I've got 3 different scripts. I've got the script for 301, 302, and 303. So the first 3 scripts of the year.
Nice.
It's crazy. Actually, we're starting off with great guns. We're really, really excited. It's fun. We always plan the season out in advance.
Right.
So it's fun, like, to do all that pre-break, preparation stuff, and then you get into the nitty-gritty, and you immediately start to see these ideas start to come to fruition, and it's just a great deal of fun. And
well, it's a great show, and I discovered it. Now, I don't recommend everyone discovering it this way. I met Marc, and he told me about it. That's a real slow way to market. You have to meet the showrunner before you watch the show.
It is. It's also, I'm not entirely sure I'm the best person to meet. Like, I don't know if that is definitely not putting the best foot forward. I'm sure Warner Brothers marketing is thinking, we probably have a better idea.
Yeah.
They're going to put a lot of money into play dates.
Yeah,
for kids.
And the interesting thing about it is when Arrow launched, you actually had to fight against your own marketing because all the billboards were your star scantily clad. So now, wait, this is kind of sending the wrong message. Like, when I saw that billboard, and a lot of my friends said the same thing, well, that doesn't say gritty crime superhero drama. It said, cheesy CW show that I'm going to avoid. And when I started watching, and I was talking to Marc, I'm like, oh my God, this is the exact opposite of what I thought it would be. And I love it. It's a fantastic show. And I think you could really see too, what you guys kind of paved with the trailer for Gotham. You
Oh,
can
that's nice to
you can
hear.
really kind of see like you can make this gritty, based in reality too. Like it's a grounded show. It's a very grounded
Yeah.
show. I mean, you could tell you guys were like, well, we're going to put the Flash in, but we don't really have a lot of powers and magic and superheroes and things like the stuff that like the power type stuff.
No, in fact, during season 1, we were like, we're not going to do any powers.
Right.
And then when the decision was made or the idea was had to have Flash on the show, or at least introduce Barry Allen in season 2, we realized, okay, we've got to alter that a little bit. And the challenge for season 2 for us was, how do we do quote unquote powers in a grounded, realistic way? What's the Arrow version of powers? And we came up with the idea of sort of this, human weapon, serum, that this Mirakuru serum that, we sort of tried to ground in as much sort of fake real science as possible.
Right.
And it was sort of our version of it. Because look, we're not going to have people like flying over Starling City, which is where the show, the fictional city where the show is set. But we are going to, be acknowledging the fact that we are now, even though we're not in a city with powers, we have to acknowledge that we live in a world with powers, because this show takes place in the same universe as The Flash, where they're doing superpowers a go-go.
And you have 1,000 Easter eggs in every show.
Yes, yes. No, we love that. I mean, is
that the most fun part about writing for this show, or?
I tell you, I mean, it's so hard to say like what the most fun part is. I mean, if you told me that there would be a superhero show, much less a gajillion superhero shows and movies out when I was a kid, I would have pinched myself.
You're right.
And then if you told me that, I'd be like working on one of them, I'd have been like, you're out of your mind. It's really too much for the 10-year-old me to fathom. But I will say the Easter eggs are a great deal of fun for us, particularly when we can do them in a really clever way. And I always enjoy that. That's a big part of the fun for me. But there's so many aspects of the show that just excite me.
Harley Quinn in a cell with one line.
Yeah. Well, that was really, I have to say, I can't confirm that was Harley Quinn. No. But I will say that was a real, that was probably our best Easter egg. I mean, at least thus to date. And there will be more. There will be plenty.
Let me ask you this. With you're going into season 3, and like all good shows, it takes us a while for a show to kind of find its legs and get its rhythm and all that stuff like that. From the process as a writer, where did you see that specifically with this show? Like, when did you feel like we got it? Was there that moment, or was it sort of a gradual and then you looked back, or?
No, there were actually, it's a great question, by the way, and there were really several moments for us. For example, I mean, what I can do is I can sort of point to specific episodes that hit specific tentpoles for us. For example, episode 105 was the first appearance of, who I call Proto-Deathstroke, the Billy Wintergreen character from the first season. And that was the first time where we did a flashback story that was outside of this cave that we had established. And it was sort of proof of concept that, wow, we really can tell a full-fledged story with a beginning, middle, and end with cool stuff and Deathstroke and everything in the flashbacks. So it wasn't like, hey, we're figuring out the show, but that was a big component of what the show became, which is the flashback stories being, as big a part, though not, screen time wise, but narratively as big a part of the episodes as the present day story. And then the next episode, episode 6, was sort of the first episode where I started to feel like things really sort of came together, where the show was starting on a path. And then episode 9, which was our mid-season finale in season 1, that was the episode I think you're really referring to. It was really the first episode where, quite frankly, I remember it was like the first episode where we didn't have to do any reshoots. So that alone was like a big whoa, thank God. And actually, you know what? That's a lie. It's not a lie; it's a mistake. Because I just remembered it's the first episode that we watched and we didn't think we'd have to do any reshoots, and then we had an idea. And we decided to pick up a couple shots.
Tweak.
And we decided to tweak. But that was a big, sort of moving of the needle for us. And, one of the things that I like about the show, one of the things that we're proud of in doing the show is the show, like, sort of, it sets these new boundaries for itself. So it sets these new, what we call high water marks on the show, where we sort of feel like, oh, in this episode, the show took a leap forward, and the show got that much better or that much bigger. And
you could really see that in the second season.
Thanks. And we started to feel that way, yeah.
Like I noticed, too, like if you notice how when you watch it all the way through, like the first season, you have a lot of relationships that kind of unfold, and you're like, okay, and like for every moment of someone getting kicked in the face or getting shot with an arrow, there's a moment of someone getting their feelings hurt. Okay, It's still the CW. I get it. It's still there. But towards the end of the second season, it was so brilliant. You guys deconstructed all of those moments to culminate at the end, and it was fascinating to watch because I'd never seen that before. Like, you literally changed the formula as the show progressed.
One of the things that we did going into season 2 was was try to fix a mistake we felt we made with season 1. I mean, obviously, you're always trying to improve, and with season 1, we sort of had this huge cast and a large number of characters and a large number of recurring characters, and we felt this obligation to service, every single one. Service is like a writerly term or a writer's room term, which basically means like, oh, we're going to give them a storyline. And when you do that, first of all, you're packing these episodes with a lot of watered down stories that really exist just to quote unquote service. I'm finger quoting here. Service
people
a
at
character.
home saw it.
Yeah, they did, right? It's like video. But they felt it. They felt the finger quote. And these characters were often like siloed off in their own little storylines and nothing connected. And one of the rules we sort of set for ourselves in season 2 is like, what, we're not going to do that. If there's not a scene or a storyline for this character, the character's just not going to appear in the episode. And the audience will accept that because it is a big tapestry and it is a big canvas.
Well, it's like a comic book.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Right. It's a comic book. Okay, this issue doesn't have this guy. That's
right.
Fine. That's fine.
It's totally fine. And one of the reasons why the show has a large cast of characters is because we were taking inspiration from comic books. That a lot of comic books.
Well, it's weird that a comic book show hired comic book people to write it.
Yeah.
Indeed. It was very odd. I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
Well, I want to ask you this. You as you talked about how the show's progressed and where you're going now, as you're getting into, you're only 3 episodes into the third season, and I'm not asking you to give away secrets or plot points or like that, but where do you want to see it go, or now that you kind of feel confident, you've got your legs, you've experimented with these things, like where do you do you have kind of a okay, we know who we are now, everyone's gelling, let's do this, or let's go.
I always sort of look at each season. I've got sort of my little wish list of the things I would like to see the show do, not in terms of moments, but in terms of I guess maybe the best way to explain it is to sort of explain what my hope is for season 3, which is sort of want to, this is going to sound trite, but I want to take the best elements of season 1 and combine them with the best elements of season 2. I feel like
that sounds more like a good plan than
it trite. Seems like, yeah, but I feel like season 1 had a focus to it that season 2 didn't necessarily have. I mean, I think what was so great about season 2 is it did feel to a lot of people very epic. Yes, I read the internet. So I'm not speaking for myself. I'm translating, Twitter into it felt epic. And part of that was its scope, but, it's like, how do you combine scope and focus at the same time? And the other thing that would be nice is we always look at these things as they're not seasons. We approach them like one big 16-hour movie. And we think of, we've always thought of season 2 as
a comic book run.
Yeah, as a sequel,
Right.
And this is a sequel to the sequel. And if you look at unfortunately, there's not a lot of great third films to really point to and go, hey, that's what we're going to emulate.
Indiana Jones.
But that's true, actually. But actually, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is actually a perfect example of what I'm talking about, or what I'm about to talk about, which is I feel like the best third movies, they harken back in a lot of ways to the first movie. That they're not mirror images of each other necessarily, but I think if you look at the first 3 Indiana Jones, the third movie owes more to Raiders than it does to Temple of Doom.
Sure.
And Back to the Future 3 feels more focused and more of akin to Back to the Future
Iron
1.
Man 3.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3. Even, by the way, and I feel like it gets a bad rap, but I really love it, or I can overlook whatever flaws it has because it really speaks to me on so many levels, is Dark Knight Rises. And Dark Knight Rises,
love that movie.
I loved it, you know. And Dark Knight
You're not
Rises,
going to get any arguments here.
You're in a safe
Terrific.
place here, Mark.
Yeah.
Actually, I always feel like every time I say that, I always get shouted down. But like, I really love that movie, and
Graham will show you his T-shirt after the show.
awesome.
Does have my Batman watch, and yeah.
One could argue that you're not objective. But,
Yes, you could.
he's wearing all this Batman stuff, folks.
Those people are wrong.
But it owes, you know, you look at Batman, you look at Dark Knight Returns, and you see a lot of Batman Begins in it. In fact, can I share something? I rewatch these movies pretty constantly. And on my umpteenth time of watching Dark Knight Rises and watching Batman Begins, I noticed something that blew me away. You know the music cue that plays when the bat is flying away from Gotham City and it's supposedly sending Batman off to his doom with carrying a nuclear bomb, and it's that beautiful singing voice. It's actually the kid. I checked this in the credits. It's the kid who sang the national anthem.
Football game, right?
At the football game.
What a lovely, lovely voice.
What a lovely voice. Yeah. That cue plays when Bruce's parents die in Batman Begins. Prepare to be astonished. Right?
Wow.
That's crazy. Insane, right? I know.
That makes me love that movie.
I
even
know.
more.
I know. By the way, and then you're like, wait a minute. How did I not notice that?
Right.
Right? But I mean, at least that was my reaction it's unmistakable. It's incredible. So I love thirds that bring the narrative full circle and bring everything together.
Very
and,
cool.
It'd be nice to see that in season 3.
Sweet. Well, let's get
All
into
right.
some. Let's
talk about some movies
Well,
now.
let's talk about a sequel here.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Okay.
Was that the sequel you were talking about?
Oh no.
I actually prefer to call it. I prefer to call it How to Train Your Dragon also.
Yes.
But I don't know. I probably, the marketing department probably knows what they're doing.
Now, I saw this movie, and I saw it with the family. Kids liked it. I loved the first one. I thought the first one was
outstanding.
And I saw this one. It was okay. I have to say, I had a little more higher expectations for it. The problem with this movie is the same thing, and I know this is a DreamWorks Animation thing, because they did the exact same thing with Kung Fu Panda 2. It was the exact same formula for a sequel, and I'm not on board with it. What they did is they take kind of a fun movie, fun characters, and for the sequel, they go darker and more violent. And what happens is it takes the fun out of the movie and the characters. So I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this is good, but it's a little darker, it's a little more violent, and all of a sudden now I'm not feeling that fun and exhilaration of like this character that's discovering dragons for the first time, and all this discovery we don't have. Now we just have villains and darkness and violence, and I wasn't as on board. I still like the movie, but I don't think that's the right direction to go in with these sequels.
Didn't you feel, though, they got bigger?
Yeah, I think
It definitely got bigger.
Here's what
So-
yeah.
Okay, so basically, let me see if I have this right. So basically, you hated Empire Strikes Back.
No.
Right? No, you did. Clearly, you're like, oh, Empire Strikes Back must have been one of those DreamWorks movies,
No,
too.
no, that was brilliant. I'm talking about now. If Luke Skywalker was hilarious in the first movie, then I may not have been as on board if it went that dark. Now, I'm not saying I didn't like the movie. I'm just saying it went. I think it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. It didn't have the fun and kind of like that fun of discovery that the first one did, and I thought it went a little too dark.
Well, okay. Here's what I think.
Didn't like Empire. It's okay. You can just say it.
just say it out loud. Just own it. I will say
I don't like carbonite. All right, there. I've said it.
big anti-carbonite guy.
Can you imagine, just imagine if there was no Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, and you found out on the internet today that J.J. Abrams was going to cast a Muppet in Episode 7. Can you imagine the outcry?
Right.
Like, I mean, or another way of putting this is, if the internet existed in 1979, can you imagine how Lucas would have been,
Right.
like,
People would have gone crazy.
No, at that time the Muppets were kind of cool.
But I remember as a kid, like, reading in Starlog magazine that Yoda was going to be a puppet, and I love the Muppets. Don't get me wrong, but I was going like, I don't know about this. I didn't have an
You
internet.
expected one of the old man from the Muppet Show, the old
it's like
heckler
Miss
guy.
I was a little worried.
Yeah.
That was a high risk scenario there.
Well, All right, let me go to How to Train Your Dragon 2. I actually really liked it a lot.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I thought it stood alone. Mm-hmm. I think it couldn't have the fun because I would have probably gotten a little annoyed if they would have still been like, you can't have the discovery because they already know the dragons.
Right,
are
yeah,
now,
I agree.
I agree. And I think the thing that I did like the discovery was, and also the kid is growing up now.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
becoming a
He's
man.
older,
so
sure.
And I like that they do that. So
And
many
then
of
I
these
can't say
characters
I
are
wasn't
frozen
against
amber.
that. I like the fact that they aged the characters. That was one of the things that I was really excited about.
Yeah.
And I was like, to me, I was like, well, let's have a big, crazy dragon battle. I mean, you kind of had one at the end of the first one. You saw a big, crazy dragon at the end of the first one.
Right.
But this one, I was like,
Whoa.
I don't know. I kind of dug it. I kind of,
Okay.
I thought it was a good sequel, and I really liked the first
Yeah,
one.
so did I.
So I did go in with pretty high expectations
Right.
for this one, and for me, they were kind of met.
Oh, okay,
I
great.
really enjoyed it. I did have one complaint though. I've seen now both movies. I've seen how 1 and how 2 as the real fans.
How one and
How the real fans like to. So like I've seen they're each like an hour and 40 minutes long, so like over 3 hours worth of material. And I gotta be honest, I still have no fucking idea how to train a dragon. And it's disappointing to me. I really hope that's something they fix in the third movie.
You feel let down.
A little bit.
That these
Just-
aren't the training videos you thought they were.
A little
going to be.
false advertising,
a
maybe?
little. It
Yeah.
just feels. I had a certain expectation.
Yeah.
And it was not met.
Right. It's like watching Never-Ending Story.
Yes, exactly.
It's like,
it ended. It's ridiculous. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a bill of goods.
It's a bill of goods. It felt wrong to me. But the movie itself, with a different title, just a more honest title, like really awesome dragon movie, would have been great.
Sure,
Yeah.
Dragon Rider, something like that.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. Exactly.
All right.
All right. Now let's talk about you finally saw X-Men: Days
I
of Futures
did finally
Past,
see it.
and we were saying before, like I really loved it. I thought it was great, and but we want to talk to Mark because he
Mark.
created one of the characters in the
Yes.
movie.
I should say
You created Wolverine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well,
And
I'm
first
waiting
of all,
for
now
my
you,
checks.
and you have written other superhero movies.
I co-wrote Green Lantern.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a
Yes,
minute.
Wow.
yes. And I did a run on a book.
There's a story there. We're going to hear it.
I can't wait to hear.
I did a run on a book called Young X-Men, and I co-created along with the artist Yank Paquette this character who, much to my surprise, I learned from the internet, is in X-Men: Days of Future Past, and it was Ink. He's the bald guy with the tattoo on his face and the tattoo on his palm who makes the soldiers sick.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's not the biggest character in the movie, but I have to say, like, again, 10-year-old self, if you told me that there'd be a movie based on this comic book that I literally vividly remember taking off the rack and reading, and that a character I co-created would be in the movie, I'd go like, you're out of your mind. That's ridiculous.
Now, just a little bit of inside baseball is how do the rights work for that? If you create a character in a comic book medium, do you have any residual rights to if they use it in a film?
It depends upon the publisher and the deal you make with the publisher. Marvel, their arrangement is when you create a character, there's a committee, and you sort of send the description of the character to the committee or the characters you created, and they sort of they sort of tell you if that's an original character or not. Because the truth be told, it's comic books. So if you were to reboot a character, have you created that character? Have you, there's no sort of reboot sort of category. So that's why there needs to be a committee, and then I don't really know what happens. I don't know what you get a piece of or not a piece of, or I'm actually it's funny. I'm the world's worst businessman. I really don't track that stuff. I probably should. But and I understand DC has a similar arrangement. I don't know if it's formalized or anything. But
Okay.
It's
Interesting.
From what I understand, Marvel and DC, they sort of operate the same way in that
Very
respect.
similar.
All right.
Now, it's, just because you were you able to watch this movie objectively, even though you had a character in it? That must have been pretty exciting.
It was really exciting. I don't think I could watch it objectively insofar as ink was in it. It was hard for me to watch it objectively insofar as that is one of, for me, that's one of the most beloved seminal comic book stories of all time.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to it's great, all these comic book movies, it's absolutely wonderful, but Days of Future Past, like I put Days of Future Past in the same pantheon as like Dark Knight Rises and Watchmen and like real
Born Again,
and
V
all,
for Vendetta. And,
all these like seminal like books. And I mean, with the Days of Future Past being like the oldest of those in my memory, I was like 10 when it came out. And the original, issues. And I just started reading X-Men. I got into X-Men with issue 139, and Days of Future Past Part 1 is in 141. So, like, I was like, pick up, oh, Kitty Pryde joins the X-Men. Oh, that's the second part of a two-parter with Wendigo. Okay, this book's kind of cool. Christmas Story, that's interesting. Kitty Pryde Christmas. Oh, no, actually, I'm out of order here. It went I think it was like straight into Days of Future Past. It was like 139, 140. Yeah, it was like two-parter in Canada. That seems pretty benign. The future, Wolverine wearing this crazy jacket and Kitty Pryde is all grown up. I didn't even know what the hell I had stumbled onto. And I was just totally ensorcelled. I mean, it was great.
So what did you guys think of the movie?
I loved it. I really loved it. This was one of those rare movies for me that actually got better as it went along. Mm-hmm. And that's, it's been a long time since I've had that sort of experience with the movie. Because I'll be honest, like the opening sequence, apart from Blink's effect, which I thought was outstanding, I didn't understand what the heck was going on. And I'm pretty sure that scene was sort of put in to tell me like how time travel was going to work in this rubric. But if it did, it went way over my head. But once Wolverine goes back in time, I am on board for the rest of it. And I thought the third act was outstanding. And I was just there. I was totally in.
I feel the same way. I mean, I just was.
It was a great movie.
It was a really great movie, and it's this is now the third X-Men movie that's been like bam, like they've really done it. Like I said, I really liked Wolverine. I liked.
I'll tell you, I think First Class is still my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, it really is. But that's not to take anything away from this one. I thought this one was
you
really
can interchange those for personal preference, but those are three solid movies, especially since some of the other X-Men movies were. Not that great.
I think one thing for me, one of the things that made the movie really special, apart from the source material,
not having Brett Ratner.
I think you can't. Nothing can't benefit from that. But the thing is like, and it's done so seamlessly that I don't think the filmmakers get enough credit for doing it. But like. This was basically combining two franchises. I mean, this is what Star Trek Generations should have been.
I still get angry at that movie.
Oh, it's such a wasted opportunity. It's such a wasted. I mean, it's funny. I actually, if I can look past, if I have a lot to drink and I can look past the wasted opportunity. Actually really like there's a lot of stuff going on in Generations that's actually really good.
You'd have to drink like Lost Weekend amount of
but it's like if you
like
sort of
absinthe.
If you get over, and it's hard, you get over the fact that like, oh wait a minute, you've got Kirk and Picard together and Kirk's not on the bridge of the Enterprise D barking orders. Like if you've missed that simple opportunity, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you've wasted William Shatner. But that said, the movie itself actually is better than it's hard to get over. It's like apart from that Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Like it's if you can get over it, the play's actually pretty good. If you can get over Lincoln's death, the play is good. I encourage people to go back.
Great parade in Dallas in November.
That's right, exactly right.
Really,
it's like that was pretty good. Zapruder made a really good film. He kept it all in focus. It was awesome. I don't know. Check it out again. There's a lot of great stuff going on in that movie.
All right. Well, X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
And I know, fans, you guys have been bugging us to do a spoiler rep for X-Men, which we desperately need to do. I don't know if it's going to happen because Chris has got to go out of town, but
maybe when we get back.
When we get back, we will do it, even if it comes out way later. We're going to do one because it's the summertime, and we always do the spoiler reps on the superhero one. So
now let's talk about the Rover. You and I actually both saw this movie, and I will say, my wife and I went to see it. This is how you know you married the right person, when she looks at the movies out and she picks the Rover. So,
but she thought it was about a dog, right?
Yeah, exactly. She said, "Oh, it's Rover, right?" Yeah. So
not a date movie.
Yeah, not a date movie. And so we wanted to try to see Edge of Tomorrow too, but we're like, oh, it's the time's off. So all right, how about the Rover? Okay, done. So now this movie, this is the Animal Kingdom director, and this is a movie you and I were both excited to see.
He wrote it along with Joel Edgerton.
Yes, and he directed it. Now, this movie is a post-apocalyptic movie, and it's interesting. Technically, it's science fiction. It's like into the future. The world has collapsed. There's very little left. Now, the interesting thing is through this movie,
But there was
hints of like what's going on.
Hints of a structure.
Right.
And they were sort of on the fringes of it. Like
Right.
they're in the outback. So like you saw military.
You saw a couple soldiers here and there.
kind of enforcing the
Yeah.
law. You saw
That sounds cool.
you saw there was a train that goes by and there are these like
Asian symbols on them.
Asian symbols, and there's guys. They look like hired mercenaries guarding
the train. And
Like you kind of get a feeling like,
the funniest part is whenever they would try to buy something, they would demand American money. Like thinking, what about Australian dollars? No, it has to be American
money.
So they did little hints of like what the structure was.
Right, and like they talked about Sydney. Like, well,
Right.
down in Sydney, they're going to do it this way or whatever.
yeah.
So you got a feeling like there's some kind of structure to society. It's not like The Road, where it's just like fucking cannibalism and up.
Yeah.
I read The Road.
So did I, and then I couldn't see the
I
movie
couldn't see
after
the movie.
reading.
It's like I
after
can't
reading
even
the
believe
book.
I put myself through the book.
Yeah, the book was hard enough to get through. So now this movie, the basic plot is that we have Guy Pearce's character. Someone steals his car. And that's pretty much the structure of the film, is him trying to get the car back through pretty much the entire movie. Now,
You know what they should have called it?
Road Warrior.
No.
How to Train Your Car.
Yeah, How to Train Your
Dude, where's my car?
Mate. Mate, where's my car?
By the way, do you know when they were developing the sequel for Dude, Where's My Car? The true story. What it was going to be called? Seriously, Dude, Where's My Car? Swear to God.
Nice.
Which, by the way, best sequel title maybe ever.
And then the third one is For Reals, Bro.
Yeah,
Where's
yeah.
my...
They should have made a trilogy.
Yeah. So it's a very thin plot structure on what kind of motivates these characters. Now, I will say, if you're going to watch this movie, as bleak as it is and as depressing as it is an actor's movie. Watch it for the performances. The performances are spectacular. Guy Pearce is fantastic, and Robert Pattinson. Oh my God!
Not recognizable.
Not recognizable. Out of this world. You'd never know he was in a Twilight movie. He does an amazing job. And it was such a hard prejudice to get over when he first comes on the screen.
Yeah.
I literally, in my head, I'm like, all right, here we go. He's like going to ruin this movie.
He's going to put on some dumb accent.
Yeah, and
you're
it's
like,
going to be, and like,
nope.
he wins you over in one scene. You're like, oh my God, he's an amazing actor.
Wow.
He does an amazing job in this movie, to the
Good
point
for
where
him.
like he literally lights up the screen, and you're like,
And I
You can't believe
think
watching
not
it.
to take anything away from Robert Pattinson, but I think the director David Michôd, I think
got the great performances out of these
he
actors.
really
Yeah.
got these guys going. Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves a lot of that credit. Now, the flaws of this movie is that it's very slow paced, which I could kind of get over, but ultimately the movie, where it never quite succeeds, is the motivations of these guys. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the motivations and the plot devices that kind of move the story along are very like, I don't know if I'm buying this. And that's kind of where the movie kind of misses the mark.
Yeah. This film was not for everybody. I mean, and again, hats off for the director for making this film.
Yeah.
Because it's a gutsy script for him
Right.
and Edgerton to write, and it's a gutsy film to get made. Animal Kingdom, which I loved, and we've talked about it on this show.
In a weird way, was more mainstream.
Well, it was, because Animal Kingdom was just a gangster movie just with an
Set in Australia, yeah.
family.
At least it's named after a Disney park.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
At least it's got that going for it.
yeah. So like this was seeing the trailer, knowing who made it, who was involved. I was like expecting to be like, holy shit, blown away.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie. And I felt
Yes.
the same way you did. Like, story-wise, a couple times I was like, okay. But then you just go from one gripping acting scene to the next.
Right.
Like, that alone is worth watching. And I think you kind of need to watch it on the big screen.
And there weren't that many people in the movie theater, but we heard them talking. And a lot of them had Australian accents.
Yeah.
So, and it's
Interesting.
interesting. It's the Australian expats are going to see this movie, and
Being
they
rude
are
about it.
they are opening up cans of beer.
Wow.
I hear that.
Bring in beer.
I hear that, and then it's really quiet. And there's one scene, and I hear one of them go to the other one, and I just started laughing. Is that his car?
That's It was, and I think too. I mean, Chris, you and I were talking about this earlier today because we were just in the Outback shooting. It was kind of cool to go. Oh shit, that's the Outback.
Yeah, I think we were there.
Did we
when they
drive
were
through that
shooting.
town?
Yeah. They actually got to see a shot of a mine where they that we were looking for to get a shot at that we couldn't. But yeah, they had a shot of the mine, and it was interesting to see. I definitely a little bit of a different perspective after being there to see like the Outback. I'm like, yeah, that's what it looks like. We were just there.
This movie isn't for everybody. Like, go if you want to see this movie. Know that it's very slow paced. And if you want to see amazing acting, then go see this.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated.
Someone should.
Yeah.
Either one of them should, I think. So, all right.
So let's go into let's talk about Audible real quick.
You got it.
We got it. Let's talk about Audible now. You can get a free audiobook if you just go to audiblepodcast.com/comedyfilmnerds. A free audiobook. I believe it's but it's only for U.S. and Canada. Mm-hmm. Sorry for the rest of the countries listening. Now,
sorry, the rest of the earth.
Yeah.
Have an audiobook.
Now there's a lot of great books on Audible, and one of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman. He's got a lot of stuff on there, like Ocean at the End of the Lane is there, and Stardust, which was a great movie and also a great book. He reads that. Like I said, all the Game of Thrones books are on there if you really just don't want to read it and have George Martin read them to you. They're literally unabridged, and he just sat and read them. Now,
how long does that take?
Oh, it's like I think each book takes 6 to 8 weeks, and you'll have to just listen, and then you'll have to rewind because I'm like, wait, who's this character again? But Mark, now you have a new book, Overwatch.
Yes, it's on Audible.
Is it on Audible?
It is. Actually,
let's talk about it.
Okay, let's do that. It's actually on Audible. I was really excited.
Did you read it?
You mean, have I heard the book?
No. Were you the author? Were you the person who
No,
read it?
God, no. People who've been listening to this podcast have already had more of my voice than anyone ever wants to hear. No. But I was really excited when I found out that not only had I written a novel, I sort of knew that, but that it was going to be turned into an audiobook. I was really excited.
This is Overwatch.
Yes. It's the firm in the CIA. It's like the way I describe it is if Tom Clancy and John Grisham collaborated on a book, this might be the book that they would collaborate on. It's as that sort of pre-pitch implies, it's basically about an attorney who goes to work for the CIA in the CIA's legal department. And turns out the CIA has a legal department, and they have lawyers. And those lawyers do things. And in this case, this lawyer discovers a conspiracy that goes back decades to even before the CIA was founded. So it's got, conspiracy and mystery and legal shenanigans. And
does it have the Flash?
It does not have the Flash. It doesn't even really have any sort of comic book sort of, Easter eggs in there. Actually, that's not entirely true. There's like a...
You had to put a couple of them in.
What?
Didn't you put a couple of them in?
There's a couple of comic book editors in the book, and now I want to say Tom Brevoort's in it. And now, of course, I'm completely blanking on all the comic book editors I name-checked in the book. But I always describe that's not Easter eggs so much as laziness. You gotta come up with these names somehow. And, usually it's a reflection of who's in my inbox or what's on my desk at the time.
So the book is Overwatch.
The book is Overwatch, and it is available on audible.com. And remember, you could actually get it free with audiblepodcast.com/comedyfilmnerds for a free audiobook download. Now, it does go with a trial, like a free trial. But you could get it.
Not a court hearing.
Not a court hearing. No. It's
there are courtroom scenes in Overwatch.
Yes, those are free with the book.
Plug.
Yeah. Now, what's also great too is Mark brought a little swag with him too. We have 2 Arrow comics, graphic novels, and also a signed Overwatch book. Now, the first 3 people to buy Comedy Film Nerds gift packs, any gift pack in the store, we will throw in these.
Check that out.
Very well done.
Nice, kids. And as soon as they're all sold, we will announce it on Facebook.
Yes.
So if you're wondering, are they still available? That's where you go check it out.
Yeah.
All right,
now, let's talk just briefly about how you wrote the Green Lantern movie and what happened.
Defend yourself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of a free trial, let's go.
Well, basically, here's sort of what happened. Greg Berlanti, who I do Arrow with, actually, and I've done a few things with, and I were talking about doing a Green Lantern movie. He and I were working on Eli Stone together, and he came to me, and he's like, I have an idea for a Green Lantern movie. I have a take that I think will be really kind of cool. And he's like, I want to write it with you and with Michael Green, who's someone else we both had worked with on a show called Jack and Bobby. And Michael and I were like, sure, any chance to swim in those waters. And I think Warner Brothers was like, 3 TV writers write Green Lantern. Yeah, sure, we've got some money to waste. Because I think by this point, there had been several different drafts and several different, takes by a variety of different writers, none of which caught fire at Warner Brothers. And I think they probably were like, sure, fine, let's see what you guys can do. It'll be cheap because you guys are all TV writers. And then we turned in our first draft, and I think it kind of surprised everybody. Suddenly it was like a real movie, and suddenly we were like moving on to the next stage, and we kept doing draft, and we did like a total of 5 drafts. And we just kept refining the movie. In fact, it's funny, someone tweeted out the other day, I saw someone had found, it's very easy to find, apparently it's all over the place, but had found our original draft, our very first draft, online. So it's out there on the interwebs, for people who know how to Google. And, and then, so we did 4 drafts. Then they attached Martin Campbell to direct. We did a 5th draft for Martin. And then they brought in, someone to polish the script, or script doctor, or whatever the term of art is, Michael Goldenberg, to do a rewrite. And Michael did his rewrite, and that was basically what became the production draft. And the movie got made. It's funny. I would have to be in massive denial if I thought everyone in the world loved the movie. That said, I with some surprising degree of frequency, I still like, and you guys are not going to believe this, but it was even today was someone I had breakfast with, and she's like, her husband was saying he really likes Green Lantern. I meet people who like the movie. So they're out there, they are out there, and I know Rotten Tomatoes doesn't bear me out on this, but there are people who like the movie, and but
how far from your initial draft was the finished product? How different were they? We have our answer.
Actually, the truth is, I'm trying to think of an answer that won't get me in trouble.
Okay. We don't want to ask you on this part.
Because, there's really, honestly, there's no, there's no good answer to that question that I can give. Actually, here's the answer.
You can tell us off the air.
The answer is, the answer is really simple, which is, I feel like because I didn't post it to the internet, I can say this. Google and find out for yourself. I won't say that, like we said, we did 5 drafts, and I can't say that the 5th draft is identical to the first draft. And I can't say that the first draft's our best draft. But at the very, very least, I think the first draft gives you a strong sense as to, all the common threads that it shares with the movie. And probably it gives you a good idea of the points of departure. And you can read it and judge for yourself, or judge more, because I'm sensing a small amount of judgment here. But
fair enough.
But feel free.
I'm politely abstaining.
I noticed that. I appreciate that. This is probably actually a really good time for me to provide 2 legal disclosures here. I should have said, which is that I'm doing something with DreamWorks. And I'm writing a movie for Lauren Shuler Donner, who produced X-Men Days of Future Past. So I will say that this podcast, between that and the Green Lantern, the whole thing just seems like an opportunity for me to end my professional career. This whole thing has been one big minefield. When Chris invited me onto the podcast, he was like, "Oh, it'll be fun. We'll talk." Yeah. He didn't realize that I'd basically be playing Russian roulette with my career. I'm trying to literally trying to think of how many people I've probably pissed off.
I'm sure that answer is 0.
You never know. You never know. But well, I know for sure Brett Ratner. He'll never direct anything I write. But
From your lips to God's ears.
I'm sorry, Brett. I can't help but laugh. He's funny. What do you want from me? Call me, pal. We'll do lunch.
Yeah. So, okay, I think that was a very fair defense, absolutely, of the Green Lantern movie.
Yeah,
so
we're not gonna.
No, we won't press it anymore.
I also probably can't get a job at Google now.
Yeah,
That's not that hard.
Yeah.
To work for.
We do Microsoft product placement on Arrow, and they provide a good chunk of money and equipment and stuff. So I should probably say try to find the draft of Green Lantern on Bing.
and use Microsoft Office.
Yes, please, and Explorer to search the web.
So let's get into DVDs. I think this is one of our best episodes.
I think it's a phenomenal episode. It's a very informative episode.
Mark's checking his phone right now. It was Google.
Oh no! I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I wasn't getting into too much trouble with my wife.
Yeah.
She could also be pissed off at me.
Yeah. So let's talk about the DVDs coming out, DVD and Blu-rays, 300 Rise of an Empire. This movie, I have to say, surprised me. It was a really fun, ultra-violent, it took the movie 300. I thought it was just going to be a slap-together money grab of a sequel, and it wasn't. It was really fun. It was action-packed. It was violent, and what I loved what they did with the story is they didn't even really make it a sequel. They made it more of like a side story. Like, this is what was going on as 300 was going on.
Right, in a different...
In a different area. And
clever.
then, after 300 kind of ended, then this movie actually continued, so you actually saw what happened after as well. So it was a really clever way to structure it, and it was fun. And it was the effects were really good, like especially with stylized effects like that. They could look a little like you could kind of see the seams, but not with this one. I mean, it was really seamless. It was really even with I'm like watching, like, I don't think there's all that ocean and water there. I'm pretty sure they're on a gimbal or whatever. And but it looked great. The action was great. It was fun. The character was fun. It's a great rental. Yeah, it was really fun. See, I don't even think though you would have enjoyed it on a plane. That was something that you kind of have to see either in a big screen or in your house. Really,
I don't think there's any movie to be enjoyed on a plane. Like, it's funny. One of the writers of Arrow, Jake Coburn, he was flying back for a wedding or something, and he's like, "Yeah, I watch Gravity. I love Gravity. Like, I always have to watch it." I'm like, I love Gravity too. I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch it on a plane. That seems like not a good experience.
Yeah.
Just about everything.
Yeah.
I was telling people, like, you have to see it in 3D IMAX. Like,
Right.
Yes.
And
if there was an opposite way that you should see that movie, it would be on an airplane.
It's exactly totally.
A 50-inch home and really nice TV is
still not
the
right
right
there.
way.
I'm right there with you.
You're still not going to get the full effect. Winter's Tale. If you wanted to see this movie, you've already seen it.
Yeah.
And Enemy. Now, this was the Jake Gyllenhaal doppelganger movie. I didn't see it. I think Neil saw it. He thought it was okay. It was he's just a guy watching TV and he sees his double in a movie, and then he goes to track him down.
Oh yeah.
So that's on DVD. And now premiering this week. Here we go. Ready? Transformers: Age of Extinction.
We got to get TJ Miller on the show because he announced
we definitely have to.
podcast. He's in this movie, and apparently Michael Bay said "You're not funny" or something, was yelling at him on the set.
Wow. Yeah, we have to get him to tell that story
because I think he told the story on his own podcast. We got to get him to tell it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't go see this.
Yeah.
Vote with your dollars, you guys. Go see the Rover. You know what I mean?
Or just rent 300, Rise of an Empire again.
Go see The Fault in Our Stars. Go see anything. Go see X-Men again.
Yeah. There's plenty of movies. Or even Edge of Tomorrow. Go see Edge of Tomorrow again.
Go see that.
Now, Age of Extinction, it's fascinating about these movies, too. You can't... As much money as these movies make, and as much as everyone goes to see them, it's hard to find people that are love them. It's oh, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's people are almost resigned to the fact that they're going to be barely watchable, but they're going to go see them anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a really fascinating kind of mindset with these movies.
I have to
Mark,
say,
what do you think?
It's interesting to me because I'm like, okay, I probably don't want to work with Michael Bay. Also, like, well, we're just crossing names right off the list. Paramount, gone. Hasbro, gone.
DreamWorks.
But no, I mean, in all honesty, I find myself kind of going like, you know what? I may check it out this weekend. I'll be honest. It's not because I want to work for Paramount, though I do, like, call my agent. Or work with Michael Bay, call my agent.
Yeah.
But there's something about this kind of movie and what Michael Bay does, and
That is ruining the world?
No, I always find this one weekend in the summer where you're like just in the mood for a summer movie. And this is like, I can kind of see myself going like, oh, you know what? Get out of the summer heat, go to air conditioning for 2.5 hours. I don't know. I also, by the way, like, I so want it to be good. Like, this franchise did need a reboot, and it needed sort of to start from scratch. And,
maybe
like,
with a new director.
Yeah.
I don't know. But here's the thing about Michael Bay, and I'm not just saying this because I want to work with him, but I do. Like, so call my agent. It is. I'm like, wow, dude. Like, you've spent a good chunk of your career now just making these movies. Like, these are 4 movies, and they all take a long time to do and produce. And like, I think Michael Bay.
Do they?
But they do. They really do. It's
Post.
like a huge
They take a long
process,
time in
though.
post, yeah.
But he's spending a long time. He's living in, I mean, with the exception of like Pain and Gain, which I imagine was done on a fairly short schedule comparatively. Like, he has spent the better portion of his career now doing this particular franchise. And I look at him and I go, I think Michael Bay does have something to contribute. I really do. Like, I feel like he's a filmmaker.
We're going to have to agree to disagree.
No, but like,
Mark.
look at like The Rock. Like, look at The Rock. Like, he's got a voice, and I feel like
I'll give him one compliment. He's an amazing visual effects supervisor.
He should just make rides for amusement
He should make
parks.
rides and effects.
no. I think he's got a real eye. And he
Into hell.
no, not ride. And
We're not wavering on this
Yeah,
point of view,
yeah.
Mark. I mean, you feel free to say what
Yeah,
you want
please,
to say.
try to convince us.
I keep waiting for the best. I keep waiting for Michael Bay has a really good movie in him. I really believe.
Oh, yeah,
that.
and I keep waiting for a shit-hot Denny's waitress.
No,
I
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I keep
Mark my
waiting
words.
for a perfect 10 Denny's waitress.
It's going to happen. I think he's got the skill.
It's like an airline. It doesn't treat you like you're an asshole.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
actually, those airlines exist. This thing, this unicorn that Mark is chasing, does not.
I think he really wants to make I think he has to want. He has to want to.
And I think
do something
Bigfoot
great.
wants to be discovered. I think,
I think so too. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, it could happen in our lifetime too. That could happen. I got Michael. I got faith in you, man. Call my agent.
Well, the amount of shit we've talked about him over the years, there's no way he listens to this show. So I think you're okay. We have
No, come on. I don't think he listens to anybody. That's kind of the
Right.
thing.
That's
It's like
his-
it's.
By the way,
that kind
he
of
is
like-
laughing all the way to the bank.
He does not care
course
what
he
we
is.
think.
No, he doesn't care what anybody thinks.
He's a billionaire.
By the way, if I was Michael Bay, I don't care what you thought either.
Of course not.
know?
Why would you?
Why would, if I was Monsanto, I wouldn't care that your children were dying from my shitty food. I wouldn't care. Like if I was the NRA, I wouldn't care.
Wonderful.
that
Now
everybody was
I
dying.
can't write a movie for Monsanto. Thank you.
I had this.
I can't even write a tomato commercial now.
the GMO story.
Oh man, I had
I
this
never-
superhero who got his
I
powers from
think-
soybeans.
I
Now I
think-
can't do
I
it.
never
think
thought it would be a
Monsanto-
podcast that did me in.
You thought it'd be like a Coke
Twitter,
vendor,
yeah.
some
Yeah,
Twitter
yeah,
or something.
Twitter, I definitely thought it would
No,
be
serious. I think Monsanto has a healthy meal in them somewhere. I really do. I think Monsanto has a healthy organic meal somewhere inside. Just waiting
them.
to get out.
Yeah, we're just waiting for it. We're just waiting for it to come. Now, I will say though, I was a big fan of Transformers. Grew up on the cartoon, read the comic
Oh, me
books,
too.
and I was always a favorite of the Dinobots too.
Mm-hmm.
And to see like Grimlock in the first movie, and also we have a friend of ours helped design it,
Mm-hmm.
Jason Schulman, who did our TiVo commercial. So I'm like looking at these designs. I'm like, okay, you know what? Here's the problem that I completely fall into with this movie. Although, if I didn't have this podcast, I probably wouldn't go see it. But now I'm going to go see it anyway. I'm going to go see this anyway.
You better pay for something else.
Well, maybe I'll pay for something else.
You have to.
What I'll do is I'll pay for X-Men, and I'll make sure my money goes to Mark's residual for his character.
For his in character.
For his
Give the money right to his in character, which I am totally
By the way,
on board
I'm
with.
going to need it because I'll be unemployed after the podcast. So thank you for that.
So next movie is any closing remarks, Mark?
Oh no, I think I've dug myself a deep enough hole. Thank you.
All right, Begin Again.
I'm good.
Begin Again is now this is a very smart counter-programming to Transformers and also our next film. A chance encounter between a disgraced music business executive and a young singer-songwriter new to Manhattan turns into a promising collaboration between the two talents. Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley stars. So
I like Mark Ruffalo.
yeah, I like him a
I
lot
love
too.
him. He's great.
I love Keira Knightley.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
So, and the next movie, Snowpiercer. This was based on a graphic novel in Russia, I believe. Is that?
I don't know.
Maybe not Russia. Anyway, but I thought it was a graphic novel. But now, what do you think of Snowpiercer? How do you think it'll be?
It's funny. I had been reading about this on the internet for a good chunk of time,
Didn't it get delayed for a while?
I think
or?
that's how I was reading it on the internet, actually. And then I finally saw the trailer, and I was blown away. I mean, obviously, you...
Oh, the train that runs... Yeah, it does look amazing.
You never know, like...
Train that keeps going, but there's a caste system inside the train.
Yeah.
And it's a post-apocalyptic world.
It just... I don't know.
Captain America in it.
It looks really interesting. It looks so provocative and so interesting. And I don't know, there's something about, like, a society on a train. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
maybe that's the train that was driving
and-
past
and-
on the rover. That would be
No, I like
awesome.
too. It's like Chris Evans just kind of stretching
He
out
keeps
from
getting better,
from
man.
Captain America. Like to see
Chris
him in a
Evans is
different role.
terrific.
He's
actually.
great.
Yeah.
He keeps getting
does.
better. And
I
the
agree.
director, Jun-Ho Bong, did this movie that I really like, this Korean film called The Host.
Oh, I remember The Host. Yeah,
really
Yeah.
inventive sort of sci-fi
You know, my
monster
favorite
pick.
part about that movie, The Host, is that you saw the monster right away.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was like right at the beginning, like, oh, game on.
So,
This
so
was-
you
yeah.
add these things, you add this graphic novel, you add this director, you add Chris Evans, and then the trailer, I'm like...
I'm in. I'm really excited. I
hope it's good. I
I've
really
been
do.
looking forward to this ever since I first read about it, and I don't know why it was delayed. That's usually not a good sign.
No.
But you never know. I mean, but it looks terrific.
All right, we're going to keep our hopes high for Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
So, all right.
Well, that's our program.
that's our
That was
program.
that was
That's pretty
jam-packed
amazing.
episode.
We had a lot to talk about today.
great.
It was amazing.
Good stuff.
And
Yes.
if there's one takeaway, and that's that watch
I'm
Arrow.
unemployable now.
Watch Arrow. And I get so much shit
yeah.
about like, oh, you got to give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. another chance. So I made a deal with people that keep telling me that. I said, all right, I'll give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. another chance if you try out Arrow. Because all
that's
these
good.
people that said,
Yeah.
I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., well, do you watch Arrow? And it's like, oh, no. So I'm like, all
That's
right, there
interesting.
you go.
Yeah, that's good. And then buy Overwatch because
And buy Overwatch.
I'm just saying,
Buy the book or get it on
Or get on Audible.
get on Audible,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, this is actually a way for you to get it free, the audiobook.
That's true.
Bing,
And
bing.
who read the book? Do you know?
I
who read
don't
for Audible?
actually. I don't know who the reader is.
I think it was Michael Bay.
Was it Michael Bay? Yeah.
I actually haven't had the guts to listen to it.
Uh-huh.
That might be too painful for me. Like in the sense of, it's like it's my first novel, and not that it's not good, but it's I'm too sensitive. I'm too,
Sure, you're gonna be hypersensitive.
I'll be
Too close to it.
hypersensitive
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it, and like
Absolutely.
hearing my writing read aloud as opposed to like what I'm used to in television and film.
Sure.
I don't know. It doesn't seem upside to me, but upside to everyone else. So they should.
Well, where can people find you on the internet, Mark?
Well, I'm actually I love Twitter, and my Twitter links to my Tumblr and my Facebook. So
Okay.
on Facebook it's Marc Guggenheim, Marc with a C, and on Tumblr it's Marc Guggenheim, all one word, also Marc with a C, and on Twitter it's at @mguggenheim. That's at MGUGGENHEIM. I love Twitter. Actually, I've really grown to enjoy it, and I have this really sort of cool thing on my phone. Like there's a lot of there's iPhone apps. You take this little device, and you stick it into the headphone jack, and it's actually like functions as a breathalyzer. I have my breathalyzer hooked up to my Twitter, so I never tweet while I'm inebriated. It's a very useful hack. for the fun.
That is good to know.
All right, well, guys, check him out on Twitter at M Guggenheim.
Now, since we have Comic-Con coming up, too, why don't we talk about that? Because you're going to be there,
I
right?
will be there, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what panels will you be doing?
Right now, I know I'll be doing 2 panels related to Arrow, and that'll be on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm also going to be doing a panel about Overwatch on Sunday.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Though I'm sure we will, as I did for my Overwatch panel at WonderCon, spill into a whole host of other areas with the other stuff I do. And that's currently what I have on my plate. I was just invited to do a panel on Thursday, but in all honesty, I don't know if I'll be able to get out of the office, the Arrow office, for 2 days, and I know I need to be, at Comic-Con on Friday. So it'll be at least 3 panels, but hopefully more. We'll see.
Yeah, sweet. We'll be doing Rick Meyer's Kung Fu Extravaganza.
We'll be doing, Rick Meyer's Kung Fu Extravaganza. That is Thursday.
Thursday the 24th.
Thursday. And I'll actually be on the Thrillbent panel with Mark Wade and Lori Matsumoto. Now, they don't have the everything locked down with time and day yet, and I'm not allowed to announce that yet, but it'll be similar to the Kung Fu movie. And I will be announcing my new comic book project with Thrillbent, so really excited about that.
All right, guys, we'll check that out. Of course, like us on Facebook. That always helps. You can also follow the documentary on Facebook as well. It's also at Earbuds Pod Movie. As we have
a little break in shooting until the festival.
Break in shooting, and now you're going to be watching footage and putting together the story and all kinds of stuff like that. So, follow us, like us, do all that stuff, you guys. And or we're going to be releasing soon Earbuds T-shirts.
Yes, we're getting those made, and we did actually add a new product in the store. We're doing Dana Gould's T-shirts right now. The Bevel Aqua heating and air conditioning
if you
guys.
listen to his show, you'll love. It's an inside joke.
You can check those out on the in the store. They're available now.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the program. Thank you once again to our guest, Marc Guggenheim.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Our pleasure.
It was good times. As always. My name is Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. As always, remember,
Han shot first.